I'm sorry for the lack of good backdrop here. It's been a while since I jumped on this infernal machine. This time last year, I was highly suicidal and didn't want to live. I'm, I'm almost there again. But last year, my brother gave me a dog for my birthday, which turned things around. But then this town managed to fuck all that up because this is a shitty, shitty, shitty little town. Um, for instance, you know, the shitty, shitty little town I live in. If you know me, you know where I live. And if I walk to the boulevard, there's a whole shopping center. I think it's called the Pickwick Shopping Center. That's what I call it. I am banned from that whole entire shopping center. I'm not allowed in, according to the one owner that spoke to me the last time I tried to enter the establishment, because he said the landlord there, I don't know, accused me of stealing. Now, so there's Curly's, which I know they don't stop people. I know they don't kick out thieves because I've seen a lot of thieves walk in there with stuff and walk back out without stuff. So that can't be the establishment I'm talking about. A little bit of this and that. I can't imagine them purchasing stolen goods or letting me steal since I knew the owner, his wife, and his son. Regenesis, I'm not going to, even though I don't like that Christian charity, I don't think they treat the addicts well that work there because a lot of times they would be like, "Can I bum a cigarette? But don't let anybody see you give me a cigarette." So I would just drop cigarettes as I walked by. Um, Maybe them, because one time I tried to tell one of the managers there about some ne'er do wells that were in the parking lot. She's like, I don't want to hear about that. And if I was trying to help recovering addicts, I'd want to know about ne'er do wells in my parking lot. So it's weird. Um, so I'm not allowed in that entire shopping center. I can't go to the Lucky Garden Chinese restaurant. I wouldn't go to the new vaporizer shop because if you live in this shitty town, you go to Elevate or you go to Illusion. That's the two vape shops. I mean, one or the other. They're both great. Um, I wouldn't use the piece of shit vape shop in Pickwick Shopping Center. But then let's just take another, brief look at this boulevard. This is the closest place for me to walk, and I don't currently have a car. So is the 7-Eleven. I'm banned from that 7-Eleven. Why? Because I made a mistake. I ran into two drunks out front, behind the 7-Eleven. I'm sorry. Because the homeless hang behind the 7-Eleven and drink a lot in these bushes. It's weird, but I guess 7-Eleven doesn't mind, and the police in this town don't mind if drunks hang out behind a 7-Eleven and drink. Um, I'm assuming the police have better things to do, like bother me most of the time. You know, it's tax dollars well spent. Anyway, one was an old black guy that used to live down the street, named Drew. Can't remember his last name right now. And he was there on his bike. I was there on my bike. And there was another guy, Little Man, is what people called him. His real name's Keith. And he still hangs out at that 7-Eleven, but I'm banned. Why? Because I invited Drew, because he said he was homeless. And I said, man, that's not cool. We've had our problems. I'm not going to let you be homeless in the winter. So I invited him. Hey, random gamer triple X. Not too much is, going on. Home skillet. I like that. I haven't heard home skillet in a while. What's good? Not this piece of shit town I'm living in, that's for sure. Pardon me, city. I'm using the term loosely. I would call it a fucking dead end village. But anyway, I should say something too. There we go. I'm chatting back too. I'm interactive. But anyway, uh, and I'm sorry for this awful background view. I'll get better at this. Um, I'm getting an airbrush soon, so soon I'll have more art like that. That was a piece of shit gun, airbrush gun. So it just all got, But soon there'll be art all over the place. And you went away, random gamer, X, triple X. I don't know who you are, but thanks for stopping by and then leaving. But at least you said something, so that's good, I guess. Um, so anyway, I invited Drew and Keith back to my place. I said, "You're both," I said, "Drew's homeless. You're homeless. Drew, you can crash for a while. Little homeless dude on a bike whose stories make no sense." And when I say stories don't make no sense, he said that he's not from here. I said, "Oh, okay. You're not from here. This is interesting. Let me hear more about you not being from here. Where are you from?" "Tennessee," he said. And he said he comes from the hollers of Tennessee. And I said, "Oh wow!" I said, "That's wild. You used to live in the hollers of Tennessee there." And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What did you ever run into any animals?" He's like, "Oh, there was no big deal really. I was like, if I was in the hollers of Tennessee, I might be worried about wildcats." He's like, "Oh no, they're nothing to worry about. You're a fucking goddamn idiot that's never been in the wild if you think wildcats are nothing to worry about. The only animal in the wild that really truly scares me is wildcats, because you're not going to hear, very unlikely, you're not going to hear a cat. They're very skillful stealth predator." So right there, ding, 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 something's not adding up with little man's stories. Um, you know, but I don't care. He said he was living homeless down by the river. I figured I'd give him at least a shower and a place to crash. Um, all he was really interested in was marijuana and beer. He didn't want to take a shower at all, which is weird if you're homeless and living by the river and you have a book bag and he says it's full of valuables and stuff. Before he left, I emptied it out on the floor and it was full of nothing but garbage. I mean, and cigarette butts, but not, I mean, cigarette butts, nothing wrong with saving them. I save cigarette butts for a poor girl across town. Um, but anyway, um, nothing was adding up in little man's stories. How he had spent a long time down in Tennessee, growing up in the magic hollers where he can pet wildcats that are no worry, and was trying to come off as I live by myself in the wilderness all the time. He just didn't strike me as that competent. Um, so we were hanging out, and then this guy named Big Dave stopped by, and he was even skeeved out. He's like, "You got two weird homeless people." And Big Dave, you're a fucking weirdo, man. Hate to break the news to you. You know what I mean? Like when you fell in love with that girl at the Waffle House, the mistake you made and why I don't hang out with you anymore is you said she'll be 18 soon. You're grooming if that's the case, you fuckhead. So Big Dave, if you know me and you know Big Dave likes to hang out with 17-year-olds who soon be 18, which is kind of fucked up because he's 40. I mean, if you met an 18-year-old and fell in love, it'd be a little awkward and weird, but at least she'd be 18. So anyway, Anyway, Big Dave stopped by for a brief period of time. Drew was here, and little man, Keith. Middle name begins with an E. Last name begins with a P. Um, the subject of horrors came up. No, I'm not surprised. Big Dave, a drunk old black man, and a drunk old older white guy. Three lonely men. I'm lonely, but I ain't that lonely yet. Not that I have anything wrong with whores. I think they're great. I mean, I think that they should be allowed. Given by the number of whores that hang around at the Wawa near the 7-Eleven, doesn't seem like the Colonial Heights police mind whores that much. To my mind, given the number of ladies of the night I see frequenting the 7-Eleven and the Wawa and the Cookout, I don't think Colonial Heights minds whores. I think, must be fine. So anyway, did I just say where I lived? Oh, fuck no. I give a shit. Anyway, so, the subject of horrors comes up. And I'm also listening to a band, and I wish I could remember their name right now. They're a great band. And it's bugging me that I can't remember them right now. But the lead singer is an amazing, beautiful woman. But she sounds like a little girl when she talks. And I was listening to a live set by this band. They're like metal. So when they're singing, you don't obviously think. You think it's a woman, female metal band. And everybody in the room was fine with just listening to the music. But I was listening to it on a TV. But it wasn't until they broke to an interview, because it was I got a text message from my kid. That's important. And 18 to Cal Raina time. My phone is just I didn't say any of that. I don't know why my phone is going crazy today. It just keeps autofilling as soon as I open any blank screen to type. Also, I'm live on the YouTube if you are available and around to watch. All right. Anyway, the back to the story. So, see, my phone is dead. Anyway, working. I thought they were working. We were having a conversation. My birthday's coming up. Um, my father kept asking me what I wanted for my birthday, and finally, after thinking about it, I was like, "Oh, do I want a tarot deck?" And I was like, "No, not really." Because if it's a tarot deck, I've got really the only one you need right here, the Soft Tarot Deck by Aleister Crowley. Yes, I'm a Thelemite. Um, I got an argument with some asshat the other day who wanted to talk about how evil and dark Crowley was. I was like, let's. Why don't you just shut the fuck up? You don't know what you're talking about. I'm a Satanist as well. You have a problem with that? Oh, that's too dark too. I was like, all right, tell me one of the 9 satanic statements. One. Well, I used to date a satanic witch, so she was weird. Okay, yeah. Catholic priests rape boys all the time. Doesn't mean I hate all Catholic priests, just the ones that rape boys all the time. And I'm sure there's a few Catholic priests and Catholic nuns that rape girls too. The Catholic Church loves to hide rapists. They don't like to bring charges against the rapist. But then again, when you force the clergy to be celibate, I think you're going to get people that are trying to maybe like get rid of their weird desires and join the priesthood because of that. And then it doesn't work out. Then they're like dealing with kids, and the temptation overcomes them, I suppose. I'm not defending it because they deserve death. All pedophiles do, which gets us back to the little man, Keith, that sits at the 7-Eleven on the boulevard in Colonial Heights all the time. To the left. He was there the other day when I was at Vincenzo's having a pizza, sitting there. 7-Eleven bans me. They let that little human piece of shit, Mike Hines, fucking assaulted me at the Wawa. I brought up charges on Mike Hines, but I let them fail. I didn't take it to court because of death threats. But that's neither here nor there. Mike Hines like, I don't like what you did to my buddy Keith. Like, oh, you're a fan of that little human piece of garbage? Interesting. So, why is he a human piece of garbage? Again, this band. Rock and roll, heavy metal band. Wish I could remember their fucking name. It escapes me right now. A few things really escape me. It's really weird that I'm hitting a blank right here because I love them as a band. I've seen them live. I've met them. And yet, for some reason, blank right there. I don't know. It happens occasionally. It's probably all the drugs. Anyway, that I've done in my life. It's as good an excuse as any. I'm going to roll with it. So, sorry, there's a bunch of people outside. I like to be aware of my surroundings. So when I see 3 people walking down the street that I've never seen before, I make a note. And in this neighborhood, given that there are whores everywhere, drug dealers everywhere, which is useful, whores, and weird homeless people that just are allowed to hang out at the 7-Eleven anytime they want, where people like me that have houses just want to go there to buy a pack of cigarettes are banned, I guess, by the franchise owner. He's Hindu, by the way. Patel is his last name. And if you know the owner of the 7-Eleven, tell him he's a goddamn hypocrite. He's a piece of shit. And if you are Hindu, keep in mind, he allows the homeless to hang out there, which I'm not upset with. But when you get to this story about Keith, I think we'd all want to avoid that 7-Eleven is what I'm saying. Because Keith E. Parker, all of a sudden when the girl turned to the KCRW, I think that's it. It's a radio show, I think out of Washington State. They do these great live shows, and then they do break for interviews. And so she starts talking, and she sounds like a little kid. Drew just kept drinking his beer and smoking his marijuana. Keith and Big Dave were like, oh, who's that? Which is weird. They showed no interest in the music. It wasn't until little kid talking. Let's all stare at the screen. Now, we know Big Dave grooms kids at the Waffle House. They're 17. He's like, look, she'll be 18 soon. I want to stop by and get some food and give her a penknife. You do that. You sick fuck. We don't hang out anymore. Because of that. I did like it. We hung out like a couple times after that because he'd stop by, and I'm not, he's a troubled guy. Really, I mean, he's like, oh, I don't know what happened. She went away. She's not there anymore. Wonder why. I quit the job. So you know, put up with your ass. I know I'd quit the fucking job. And I mean, you know, he was obsessed. We used to go to the Puerto Rican bakery, and he's like, one of the girls that works there is a prostitute. She contacted me on Facebook. I'm like, I can assure you that nobody that works there is a prostitute. And if you were contacted on Facebook by anybody pretending to be one of the people, I'd like to see the profile. And he did show me the profile, and sure enough, it was a picture of one of the girls that worked at that bakery. Kind of looked like similar. And he had messages like, meet me in the parking lot in a few minutes. But I knew that person. And I went to them and I said, this is certainly not happening. They're like, no. And I said, well, it is kind of happening. Kind of weird on that front because I've seen messages using an image that looks very similar to you. I don't know what happened with that. That's none of my business. But anyway, so the thing to remember is as soon as this band, which I wish I could fucking remember the name of the band, but it'll take me like, and I don't feel like doing that right now. As soon as the female lead singer began talking, and sounds like a child, Keith and Big Dave were like, "Oh, who's that? What's going on?" Like they'd been in comas before, didn't give a shit about the music, which is awesome. And I said, "Oh, that's so and so." And then they became very interested. Where's she at? Like in another fucking state? I mean, you know, Jesus Christ, get yourself together. So anyway, like really, and then the subject of horse came up. And, you know, Big Dave was like, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I might take the plunge. Drew was, oh, yeah, I'm all for it. And then, of course, Keith was like, I know some. I'm like, I'm so surprised. Who doesn't? I know a lot. I don't utilize their services, but I know a lot. Hey, sex work is real work. Nothing against it. I think prostitution should be legal. I mean, you know, really. I'm sure there are a lot of OnlyFans people that do meet and greets. Just saying. I you know, wouldn't say that's out of the realm of possibility. So anyway, and really support your friends that do OnlyFans. You know, if you want to, sex work is real work. But this is where the story unfolds. Keith's like, yeah, there's some underage ones in town. And of course, I'm like, okay, does he? You know what's going on? This is not cool. This is just not good at all. I mean, it's. I now have to. Now I'm like, okay, I already know Big Dave is spoiled goods, but I don't think there's evil there. I think it's just I'm a fucking weirdo. I going to the Waffle House. I like this girl. I find out she's almost 18, and I run with it. It's grooming, creepy, but it's not nearly as creepy as I know underage whores. That's like wow. That's a level of disgusting, really. Because if you're an adult, how do you know underage whores? Think about it. And that means they're in this town. And that's disgusting. That's awful. But I want more information because they're in danger. And I could turn that into authorities, and I would in a heartbeat. And I pressured information from Keith. I let him go lay down. And then I woke him up. And I said, before you go to sleep, I'd like to hear more, if you don't mind, just a little more about the whores you mentioned, the ones that were underage. I think, I think, um, I think that's what I want more information about. I'm not 100%, Keith, that I want information. I'm 110% sure I want information, and you're going to tell me every little thing you know. I don't know much, man. It was like an SUV or something, and like they get in there sometimes. I see them coming into the 7-Eleven, and they hang out in one of the apartment complexes in town. That doesn't sound like you know them. But I did call the police and say there's a pedophile in my home. Please come and get him, because the police can be useful. And that's what the police did. That's one of the funniest moments ever. I wish I'd had my GoPro or my body cam or this camera, any of the cameras going, because to see that little human piece of garbage screaming at two Colonial Heights police officers, you wait till the police get here. I'm gonna get all you guys. Like as if the police cruiser at my driveway and the two cops that had come into my home. Then he started screaming about his toboggan hat. And they were like, Mr. Spence, do you have his toboggan hat? Oh my God, I used my last name. I'm not worried about that at all. I said, I don't know what a fucking toboggan hat is. He came in here wearing a beanie. I don't know. He can have any one of these beanies in my closet. I don't know. And he was at this moment picking up all of his garbage and stuffing it back into his book bag, because before he left, I wanted to make sure he didn't have anything incriminating that that he stole, from other people or from me. So I just emptied out his bag. Does he have anything incriminating? That'd be awesome. No, damn, just garbage and cigarette butts. So I let him pick all that up. I gave him his toboggan. He screamed for his phone, that I was hacking his phone. It was like an old flip phone. I was like, I put it on charge for him in my kitchen. And then, I said, so I'll go get it, Mr. Officer. And I did. And then he took off on his bike. And then the next day I walked down to the 7-Eleven, and the kid that was working there, who was the son of the manager, Cindy, I think her name was, he comes out and goes, "You're banned, motherfucker." I'm like, oh, I'm banned. Oh my God. That was a shame, because I just met a sexy cashier that had worked there and seemed cool. And I was just going to stop by and give her a gift, but I'm banned because I'm not the kind of people they want. They like Keith E. Parker, who likes to talk about noticing underage whores, but doing nothing at all about them, and only mentioning them when other people are mentioning whores. So is Keith a good guy? Is he a good guy? Is Keith E. last name P? Keith E.P. Is he a good guy? No. No, he's not. But he's still sitting down at that fucking 7-Eleven on the boulevard in Colonial Heights. It's the only 7-Eleven on the boulevard, I think. It's right before you get to Petersburg when you're driving down what they call the boulevard. 23834. Yeah. So if you frequent that 7-Eleven and you see a weird little homeless guy, he could, on the streets they call him Little Man, and he is almost a dwarf. I don't think he's technically a dwarf, because like Toulouse-Lautrec was a dwarf. You have to be under a certain height, and I don't off the top of my head know what that height is. It's like 4 foot something. So he's just a little above the true dwarf. But then there are people in this town like Mike Hines. If you need appliance repair work done, I would not go to him, because he assaulted me over what I did to his buddy. And all I did was ask his buddy for more information about the underage horse he said he knew. In fact, Keith went and got a restraining order on me. Next day, I got a restraining order, which gave me his full name. And a couple weeks later, he drove by me on his bike and menaced me with a taser. He fired a taser off at me. I went to the magistrate and said, "Hey, this guy threatened me with a taser. Can I get a restraining order?" He's like, "No." Like, why the fuck not, magistrate? He threatened me with a taser. He fired the taser off, which makes a electrical sound, and then rode by. And the magistrate was like, "There was two." I said, "There's two witnesses that'll tell you he did it." Well, he could have been threatening one of them. He might not have been threatening you. Okay, cool. So the law protects underage prostitute mongers. 7-Eleven lets them shop, hang out there all day, and I'm banned. That's why. And I'm also that Wawa. And fuck Wawa. That Wawa banned me. I don't know. I just gone in and bought a pack of cigarettes. I was drinking one of their new smoothies, and the district manager came up and said, "You're banned." He said, "I called the police." I'm like, "What?" Like, "Okay. You got 5 minutes." I was like, "I can't possibly pack up all my stuff here." I had my bag out. I was doing art. I said, "I can't possibly pack up my stuff in 5 minutes. Call the fucking police." And he did. Thank God there was an awesome professor of shit. I can't remember his name. He's a professor at the college near me. VSU, Virginia State University. Yeah. Who gave me a ride home, and it kind of, when the cops were like, "You got to get out of here, Mr. Spence." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fucking packing up my shit. What the fuck you want from me?" So nothing wrong with those officers. I love those two officers. Very good guys. Not all of the officers in Colonial Heights are decent humans, but some of them are. I've had a problem with one so far that wasn't a decent human. And the cops fucked me in another way, but you know that's another story for another time. But I'd love to be gone from this place. Sometimes I am suicidal. That's just a weird quirk of being 43, and if it wasn't for my kid, I'd blow my head off. That's just a true fact. But I would not. And my brother Jojo and Freighter Willie and Freighter Crip and Freighter Me Laugh. If it wasn't for those people, but they'd all handle it. They'd live with it. It's my kid is the reason I'm not a decomposing corpse. Because in all honesty, if I blew off my head, I'd be like Richard Brautigan. I'd probably sit here for like a week and rot before anybody even noticed. Yeah, probably about a week. Because I would pretend everything's hunky dory and then do it. Obviously, I'm not retarded. Because if you want to do it, you do it. There's no like, if I liked the pain, I'd slice my wrist. You know what I mean? Easy breezy, but I don't like cutting. I don't have any tattoos because I hate needles. I mean, so I mean, and I used to shoot up. Isn't that weird? Maybe that's why I have a hatred of needles. I never thought about that. Maybe, who knows? But I haven't done that in forever. So, and between the toes, that was my spot. Because I didn't want anybody to see. But never do heroin. It's awful. Marijuana's great. Wish I had some. But it's legal now in Virginia. But due to the stupid legislation in Virginia, you can't buy it at a shop. So I still got to buy it on the street. So I still got to deal with drug dealers. And then drug dealers are always offering me heroin. It's like ridiculous. Like the other night, I was at cookout and this guy's like, "You want some heroin?" I was like, "Nope." I mean, he's going to give me some, which is, I mean, if that's, it's hard. It's like temptation. I'm like, fuck off. Jesus Lord. Um, but anyway, no disparagement on cookout. I mean, it's just, drugs where the kids hang out. There's drugs in the cookout parking lot. There's drugs in the Wawa parking lot. There's whores in the Wawa parking lot. There's drugs and whores in the 7-Eleven parking lot. And there's a weird little man by the name of Keith that rides a big mountain bike around who's a weird fucker. I don't think he's malicious. I think he was saying that. I think he said it because it was an internal desire. Because when pressed for details, he really didn't have any. And I did press him for details. Why not? I mean, why not at all? I mean, somebody says something like that, you press them for details. But, one of the apartment complexes in town, SUV, didn't provide names. All he could say was an SUV. So he was a good man. And he knew they were underage whores. Or even suspected they were underage whores. I personally think, just personally, mind you, that a good human would call the cops. I know I would. So Michael Hines defends Keith. Michael Hines is an utter piece of human garbage. I don't fucking care. His brother lives right up the street. Motherfucker assaulted me in front of the 7-Eleven. That's what he did. He tried to egg me into a fight. He's like, "You got all those knives on your belt. Why don't you pull one out and slice me?" I was like, "I got no problem with you, really, Michael. I mean, I'd love to see you sliced open, but I'm not the one to do it." I've never been a big fan of his ever since one time he gave me a ride to Publix. I had extra trash bags. I gave him a big roll of trash bags, and he took me out for fried chicken. And I guess I was listening to some music I had been creating a little too loudly, even though like 4 of the employees came by and were like, "We love that. That's great." And the management called and said I was appearing threatening. 2 officers came into the Publix, and they were great officers. One's a sergeant now. I can't remember his name right now to save my life because we had a bit of a disagreement the last time I was taken into custody. He said I broke a deal with him, and I didn't. It was the middle of the fucking night. There was flashlights all out in my fucking yard, and I walked out while on my property and said, "What's going on with all these fucking lights?" Stepped into the street, and he grabbed me and fucking said, "Don't make a scene. You broke a deal." And I didn't break a fucking deal, Sergeant. You're a fucking liar. Sergeant. Fuck, wish I could remember your fucking name. Piece of shit. Anyway, some officers are. Maybe it was a bad night, because I think he's a pretty good guy given how he first handled me. So anyway. And I was reporting suspicious serial activity to the FBI. And the officer that ended up driving me over to Petersburg is like, "Oh, I'm sure." I was. I have a buddy that's a profiler. I have a number in Quantico, you piece of shit officer. Anyway. And I don't know. I'm not anti-police. I am when they're assholes. And cops can be awesome, and cops can be assholes. I will say every time I've been taken into custody in this town, which happens a lot, I'm sure they'll be knocking on my door sometime today. Um, because I might be suicidal, but I have no intention. My plan is to shoot myself in the head. I have no gun. And there ain't nobody stupid enough to give me a gun. So I can't kill myself. And I've also said I won't kill myself because, in District 19, that's a story for another time. The assessor that does the assessments in this town, piece of human shit. And if it wasn't 515, I would fucking totally call District 19 because I want to file a complaint against that whore. She's a stupid piece of shit. I'm gonna call and leave a message in a few minutes. That'll make me feel good. Why don't I do that now? We can show you how to leave a message. There we go. There we go. That's it. Let's see. That looks like the phone number. What we do is District 19 is the community service board of this area. It's a piece of shit. The last time they So we're calling them. District 19 is a community service board. Now, if you were having a psychiatric emergency, there's a different number to use in this area. Then you would just call 911 if you're having a psychiatric emergency. Tell them you're having a mental health crisis and request crisis intervention trained officers. Colonial Heights is great with that. If you get Petersburg, 804. I missed it. Sorry. Or they even say program manager. That sounds good. Program manager. I'm My name is Matthew Spence. I receive services from every time I've been assessed since I moved to this shithole Colonial Heights. It's been by the same assessor. And one of the times, every single time, she has been absolutely awful. If I was having a crisis, dealing with her would make me worse. And it did. And every time, she's put me away. And I'd like to make a complaint about her. I have multiple complaints about her from the first time she assessed me to the last time, and they're all valid. The last time she assessed me, she did it from home. And she had to stop because her dog was barking, and she was moving her fucking phone camera computer around. I could look out her window, which is really not the smartest thing to do. because since I know her name, and then she's showing a window site, that's stupid. It's just dumb. And then she had to stop and deal with her dog while she was assessing me, and she's supposed to be on game. Anyway, I'd like to call back. I want to call back because I don't even feel comfortable using your services. Because if that's the kind of people you hire, why the hell would I want to use you? And unfortunately, I ain't got no other pot to piss in. Pardon my French. So anyway, I'd like to call back. If you'd like to reach me, my phone number is 1-804-712-4348. 712-4348. I'd really like to hear something from you because I think you have an awful employee who should certainly have better candor, better bedside manner. I used to work in this industry. I used to take clients in to ER, and if I had ever had any of my clients treated the way she treated me, I would have, if I had an employee, anybody, the way she treated me, I would have. You understand? I think you do. Matthew Stephen Spence. Call me back, please, at your earliest convenience if you can be bothered. Thank you. And that's how you do it. Yeah, I didn't curse too much. So, anyway. But anyway, District 19, I feel sorry for. Also, if you, District 19 won't subscribe me any medication because I smoke marijuana. Yeah. So even if I were to want to utilize their services, I refuse to stop smoking marijuana. So I can't use their services. District 19 is a fucking joke. So anyway, we're going to go for an hour. See if I can play a song. There's the room, and it's when you're working with electronic devices, you have to plug them in. I hope everything's. This is a new amp. And honestly, I have the plug. I don't have the amp plugged in. Now everything should be on. No, maybe. There we go. My bad. That's not the song I wanted to play, but I really don't know what anything is on here. When you play with feedback and distortion, it's it's there. Well, it's in the background, and then you're hearing that. That's just the tone that the amp produces when there's no sound coming through it. And this is a loop station. I record everything live to that in loops. So anyway, oh, it's something on the wall. Oh, it's this thing hanging right here. It looks like there's something on my screen, but since it's hanging from the light fixture, it appears to be dangling there. And I was trying to wipe something off my screen that wasn't there. So anyway, yeah, that was obviously my version of CCR's. Have you ever seen the rain? And that is my version of Looking for a Kiss, um, which is a great New York Dolls song. New York Dolls, one of my favorite bands. If you enter my you'll see right behind me there that guy with the curtain rod going across his head. That's Johnny Thunders. He took that picture. He paid to have the picture taken of himself. He printed those posters up and sold them for heroin money. One of my brothers ended up with all of them that remain because he used to work at Bleecker Bob's. And I was visiting him at his now defunct record shop, and I was going through his crates of vinyl, and I had bought a bunch of vinyl. I was going to buy one of those posters as well, and he's like, "Oh man, just have it." And it's a shame so many great record stores have gone under. But if you're in the shithole area, the foul Commonwealth of Virginia, I would recommend Birdland in Virginia Beach. Barry is amazing. It's an institution. You can sell your vinyl there if you want to, and you can buy a lot of great vinyl. And but call about selling your vinyl because it's only done one day a week. I will send you the link to the YouTube live once I finish it. I'm still recording live because they say it's good to go for an hour. And as I have 28 subscribers, I figure I might as well go for an hour. Anyway, my phone's possessed. As soon as I pick it up, it just starts typing things. Like earlier, I was trying to look up airbrushes on Amazon, and I hit the Amazon search bar, and it said "Call Johnson." I don't know. There was silence in the room. There was no other noise. And it just kept wanting to type Call Johnson into the Amazon dialogue fill box. And yes, I hate Jeff Bezos and his robot army empire. But my father, who I'm trying to mend my relationship with, told my kid that to ask me what I wanted for my birthday, which is coming up. And I was like, fuck, what do I want? And I decided an airbrush, because then I can paint all over. Every single wall in this house is a blank canvas. And I'm stuck here, pretty much. So might as well paint the entire fucking house with weird shit. Because I don't fucking care. I'm free to care. I just don't fucking care. I used to have, I care about my kid. I care about the few people I mentioned. Other than that, I don't give a fuck about you. You could die tomorrow, and it would in no way impact me in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it wouldn't. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't be upset, because who are you to me? You're nothing until you're something. And once you're something, I love you. But I love you even when you're nothing. But I love everyone. Maybe as, I mean, it's hard to love evil people, though. Like, or even just, questionably moral people, like Keith, who hangs out at the 7-Eleven, or Michael Hines, who physically assaulted me to defend his good buddy Keith, who likes, or at least knows, or talks about in conversation, knowing underage whores. It's weird stuff. So yeah, if you need home appliance repairs, I wouldn't go to Michael Hines. I wouldn't use that 7-Eleven at all. I'd go to the Wawa if you have to. I would personally say go to the BP on, I don't even know the stupid road's name. It's so stupid, Doopy. Doopy, there's a BP going out towards the Chesterfield Annex, Chester Annex. Doopy, it's right there, right across from Virginia State University. Good BP, nice little gas station. I'd go there. A little bit off the beaten path, but not that bad. And where there's a couple other gas stations, for fuck's sake, right? There's an Exxon, I think. I occasionally go there, but trash hangs out there too. But I mean, trash is trash. This world's full of it. So anyway, that's about the long and tall of it. I wouldn't come and visit me if I were you. There's no point. It sucks. There's nothing to do. But yeah, you could come pick me up if you wanted to, and we could go to Richmond. There's a couple cool walks in the park we could do. Yeah. There's a cool river trail along the James River that goes from like just on the other side of the Petersburg Bridge to the other side of Colonial Heights near the animal shelter. Yeah. It's funny, that lady across the street and her junkie son finally moved out. Teresa and Chad. Chad's his middle name. I can't remember his first name. Chad. Can't remember his last name anymore. I've just stricken them from my brain. And he's a heroin junkie. I let him stay with me. I let him and his girlfriend stay with me when they were junkies. I know a heroin junkie when I see one, and they both qualify. And in fact, that fucker got a restraining order on me. People love to do that. My dad got one too. They're all the rage, I guess. Is that because I'm violent? No. It's because I say things in a very matter of fact way. Like I told my father, if you ever call the police on me again to have me committed, there will be blood. He took that to mean I was going to, I guess, attack the police because that's what he called and told the police. No, suicide by cop. It's a fucking thing, you dope. So sending police officers to come take me away, I could create a scenario where they're given no choice but to take me down. And that's what I told my father. And I don't like his girlfriend. I don't. You know, she's fake. Or as most people who meet her say, she comes off as snobbish. Um, but what do you expect from a white woman who lives in Williamsburg, Virginia, most of her life? Yet oddly did live overseas in a terrorist-oriented country for a while, and had two kids with a man of Iranian descent, I believe. Um, and I'm not saying Muslims are bad. I love Muslims. Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Um, I'm just saying it's weird that she and her husband come over to this country and they have a business together and two children together, and then she goes over there with him. They travel back and forth, business. You know, you could make connections. Construction company, good way to wash money. I mean, I'm just saying, because she doesn't have any religion um, in her life. I don't think. I don't. I think she's a soulless person. Um, you know. So I my computer. I was typing on Facebook, like I could jump over here right now, and I start typing somebody's name, and it auto tags them. I don't want it to do that, and I was a little angry when my father put the restraining order on me. Um, because I was trying to have a heartfelt conversation about how I didn't like parenting advice from her because her two fucking kids are a wreck and mine's pretty awesome. So once her daughter stops pumping out babies whose fathers she don't know and then dates weird dudes and lets them hang out with the kids, like she was dating this weird Russian dude. Nothing against Russians, but he was a weird Russian dude who was running meth. That's not a good. That's not a good person to have around your kid. But she liked him. She doesn't like me. Um, and then the other kid is 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 a wreck too. So I didn't need parenting advice. Like I was dating briefly a girl with kids, and I have knives, swords, and stuff before they all got stolen. Um, but anyway, she said something like, "Oh, I don't like all these sharp objects around. If you're going to date this girl with kids." I'm like, "You fucking retarded? You think I'm retarded? You think I'm just going to leave them lying about if there's kids around? No. I always have a knife on me, and I'll put up the other stuff if it becomes a thing. I've raised a kid. They never cut themselves on any of my knives. I don't need your parenting advice. Especially when you ain't done such a bang up job with you two. You know, my connection is unstable. I don't know. I don't even know if this is working right now. My connection is unstable, it says. Well, I'm just going to end the stream because it's unstable.